All right, welcome to our next San Diego Comic-Con prep video. This is the first time we've done a video like this, and what we want to do is just take you for a little bit of a walk using the map itself around the floor and kind of highlight a few things, because one of the most common questions we get is about, where do you enter, where do you line up, where do you go for this and that and everything else. So I thought we could look through this. So first off, suggest that you pull up the map yourself off of the Comic-Con website so that you have it open at the same time. That way you can enlarge the screen, take a look at it. I'm going to use our Marvel Legends Taskmaster sword here as a little bit of a pointer. So first off, just talking about entering the convention center. So in the morning you will get in the as they call it, the everything else line. So there's the Hall H line. This year there'll also be the next day line, and then there will be the everything else line, which is ballroom 20, signings, the floor, autograph tickets, whatever it might be. And so once you make your way into the convention center, it will shoot you above this floor. So you'll be on the second floor of the convention center above all of this. Now in the old days, and by old days really just 3 years ago, the way to really enter was at G. As you wanted to hook around up here, so you would enter up into like ballroom 20 area. Everybody would go get in the line in sales to get onto the floor that ultimately dumps out here, and you would want to go over here because it had a huge advantage to it. Even though geographically it may be further to some of the booths, it normally would get you to a lot of them much quicker. That's gone. Everybody pretty much knows that trick. I don't think it's anything hidden anymore. The last couple of years we've used both entry points. We haven't found, it really just depends kind of, again, geographically of where we want to go, and then we also will scope out. For us, there's two of us always together, so we might send, one of us is going to go get in line here, one's going to check out the line here, whatever, and we can get together and make sure we're at the best position. But let's talk about the two spots and where we would go if we're entering them. We're not going to go through obviously every booth here, not even every big booth, because there's so many of them, but we do want to hit on a few. So let's go ahead and start with this first entrance at sales. If you're entering at sales, then again, when you're on that second floor, you'll go ahead and get in line. You'll be above up here. You'll enter down here. Now, let's talk over here about the gaming area. There's a lot of hands-on exhibitions over there, so if you do want to get kind of the first trial at some of these games that are going to be on display there, that can be fun. That's going to be in the area. Obviously, some of the exclusives, the Blizzard booth is always nuts. And so you'll have a segment. It's not a huge segment relative to everybody hitting the floor. Most are going to come down and head straight down this way. This is kind of the killer area here with Marvel, Lego, Mattel, Hasbro, all of that. But definitely a good chunk will go over here. There's no way you'd want to be entering at G if you're going to the gaming area, obviously, so definitely sales would be for all those gaming people. Most commonly, though, what people are going to come is they're going to come and snake around over to these booths. And so you have to really look now at kind of the arteries. And, this is really very much like playing football at this point. Once you hit the floor, you're supposed to walk orderly, but obviously people are kind of run walking, not even quite jogging. But they're trying to find, their quickest way to get to these various booths. And so what we always do wherever we enter is really try and keep an eye on the aisles and just look for the least clogged arteries. For example, if we're going to Hasbro from here, it's probably going to be actually better to go this way than it is going to be to go through all of this, because you're going to encounter a lot of blockage as you come to Sideshow, well, particularly Marvel, DC, and even Image and Dark Horse, depending on what kind of swag they might be giving on the rows. Hitting a couple booths here. So if you are coming in this way, Sideshow can be interesting. Oftentimes they're giving away gift cards. Now, as we're recording this, we don't know a lot of the swag that's going to be given away, and that's kind of one of the most fun things about Comic-Con is finding out what the giveaways are going to be as you're there. So, forgive us if we miss some piece of swag or that we talk about as we're going through here. Do your homework, obviously. Use social media. Follow the various vendors, exhibitors here to see if they make announcements. SDCC blog is always keeping everything Comic-Con related on that website. I don't think anything really gets by them, so you can always check there specifically. But one thing we've liked at Sideshow, and it's something that we usually use later, meaning after our first half hour, 45 minutes on the floor, we'll loop back there, and often they'll scan your badge and give you a gift card. And the denomination can vary. It's not good on everything on their website. A lot of times it's good for more like discounted, or I shouldn't say discounted items. This is, you got to really see what it's going to be worth to you relative to the price of the items. But it's an easy one to get. Walk up to employee, they scan your badge. Now, DC and Marvel, for us have really become booths to avoid over the last couple years. They went from, in 2009, 10, 11, maybe 12, they were like our favorite booths, our must-stop booths, to, and 13 and 14 being things that we just don't even bother with for the most part, primarily because both of them have really fallen into a route of mostly giving away free comic book day comics. And just, you don't need free comic book day comics. You can get free comic book day comics on free comic book day. Also buttons. DC is very famous for giving out the same buttons every year. Now that being said, they've had some cool things. They had a cool group mask last year. They usually will do a poster every so often that's cool at Marvel. DC has had things like the Wayne the Wayne Casino chips and things like that, but it's become a little bit less and less there. So when we're talking about that morning entrance, be careful that you don't end up in a big line. Sometimes we'll see a line going around the booth, and it's to get these pins and comics that, you could buy them for $1 for all of them, probably at a comic shop. Dark Horse is a nice little surprise down here. They often have they have signings that you can draw for, and that's kind of fun. We've done more and more of that over the last few years, of going and getting in line. You draw a ball. If it's a white ball, you win. If it's a black ball, you lose. They give you a wristband for whatever the signing is. IDW, something similar there, can be fun. Image will have some of their exclusives there. Oftentimes Image exclusives last for a while, so we usually aren't bothering with them too much in the morning. One thing about Marvel, as we look at later in the day, they do their big, kind of entertainment thing where they have the guy on the stage, and they give away things. They give away things at a very slow rate. It takes forever. It's really annoying, personally, to me, just because it takes so long and it's so little swag given away in such a long amount of time. But if you want to see the show, obviously sometimes they have the actors there. They usually have some cool displays. There are things that we kind of check out usually more later in the day. We don't spend a lot of time messing with them in the mornings. All right, cutting back over to here now as we look at Lego, Mattel, Hasbro. This is where things really get the most messy, Lucasfilm included. Really, really messy in here. Now Lego, we actually just shot a video talking about how Lego has changed their policy. So Lego, their swag, their minifigure each day will be given away in a different location. It's up at sales, just like last year. And different than the past where there's just been the crazy line around the booth and bodies smashed into each other, the exclusives, you have to win a ticket up above in sales also, and then you just can come down at some point during the day with your ticket and buy your exclusive. So that's going to be nice. It should clear this area up quite a bit. That should go a long way to help out with that. Now, that being said, as we look in, though, still Mattel, there's going to be a crazy busy lineup here. Make sure you know the difference between Mattel. This is the actual store. So this is where you're in line and they'll have the queuing set up. You need a ticket to go over there. Same thing with Hasbro. This is the Hasbro shop. You need a ticket to be in there. Here, Mattel, and here, Hasbro, these are the display areas. Now, for these two areas, the only thing you'd want to run by there in the morning is sometimes they have some buttons, maybe some little WWE figures there, some posters sometimes. Also, they could announce, keep an eye on them. We've had some good success there with different signings and getting wristbands for signings, or I should say tickets they've used later in the day. So you can keep an eye on that. It might be something used. It's usually, to be honest, a little bit more obscure talent or a little bit more dated talent. It's not going to be anything too big. I believe Hasbro has announced Sergeant Slaughter, so we might check that out. Now, Lucasfilm, obviously, especially with the new movie out, is going to be really busy. Jakks Pacific is in there, a variety of other vendors, their exclusives. It gets quite messy in there, and that pretty much is unrelenting throughout the day. So kind of looking at those now, again, you're making your way this way, so you can judge. As we're reaching this point, there is the question of, is it better just to enter over here and make our way in this way? And so let's go on to this side of the map now and look at that a little bit. And so making our way in over here, as we're kind of pushing into the floor, there's a number of things to consider. WB becomes a big topic of concern for people. They give away a lot of cool stuff. They do a lot of cool signings there. They always have a really neat booth. But it's another one similar to DC and Marvel that the last couple years we've kind of just left behind because it's become such a magnet for people. It feels like in the morning it becomes a question, and this is a philosophical choice if you're, mashing the floor in the mornings for the exclusives or the swag. Do I just do this or do I do this and this and this, whatever it might be? And so we're much more likely to do, whatever Dark Horse, Image, Hallmark or something like that rather than just WB. But it's a philosophical choice. It's not necessarily the right thing for everyone. Obviously, Funko is a big consideration as well as far as the booths go. Funko this year also has announced that they're going to use a different system. As we are recording that, they have not told us what that system is going to be. So that's a big thing to keep an eye on in the next week as that develops. It's nice that it's off in the corner here. Obviously, if you're coming in G, it's very easily accessible. We do know that they're going to use some sort of order form. It sounds a lot like they're going to use the Hasbro system. If you're not clear on how Hasbro works, go watch our guide to obtaining Hasbro exclusives. You can find that on our YouTube channel or at the SDCCblog.com. There's a whole article on it. But I kind of think they might go that way. As you draw a ticket up in sales the morning of, you eventually come down, get in line, get your order sheet, limit 1 or 2 or 3 per person on whatever the different items are, buy it. It's a much more orderly system than just, you know, the crush of bodies to the booth. But it is a big one to consider. These are two, again, that just because they've been so messy, I mean, that's kind of our philosophy, is we want to get a lot packed into our mornings at Comic-Con. We really look at the opportunity cost of things, and Funko and WB just have not been worth it to us over the last couple of years. So we'll see. If they have an orderly system this year, we may engage in that. We'll see. Lego, we're probably going to give a try this year. We haven't tried it. Well, we've given it a quick try, but not any real effort the last couple of years because it's been so messy. So we'll see. But again, entering G, easy access to Funko. Definitely WB. If you're targeting either of those, you'll want to use this Hall H side of the entry area. Now, you've got a lot of the movie studios and TV studios in here with ABC, 20th Century Fox, Stars, you know, Cartoon Network, MTV, etc., etc. With those, what you just want to be aware of is there's going to be a lot of experiences there. You know, AMC is going to have some sort of Walking Dead, you know, take a picture with a zombie type thing. ABC might have, you know, some big Once Upon a Time display or things like that. And they're all fun things to take pictures with. You just have to decide on priorities. If you do want your picture at any of these things, it is a good place to go right away in the morning because the lines can become formidable as the day goes on. We've usually not spent a lot of time with those. You know, we've kind of gone back and checked them later in the day to see if the lines have died down at all. In some cases, like AMC, it usually just doesn't seem to really die down. In others, with things like TNT, with Falling Skies, we've been able to just kind of slide in there later. Cartoon Network, we've slid in there. Last year, took a picture of Baymax over at the Disney setup there. That was pretty easy. It was kind of letting that initial glut kind of go away. Do pay attention to that. You've got Bandai, Disney, MTV, Cartoon Network, all inhabiting a very small space here, and they're backed up against these others like NECA, like Action Figure Express, Factory Entertainment's mixed in there, so you've got those all kind of in that mix as well. So when you're running into here, beware, there's going to be big lines, and you know, sometimes the mentality with Comic-Con is if you see a line, get in it, but you really want to be careful there because you could very well think that you're in line for, you know, an exclusive over here at you know, Bandai, and in reality you are, you know, waiting for a picture at the MTV booth or Cartoon Network or something like that. Nickelodeon is another formidable booth there. There's not been anything much there that's drawn our attention over the last few years, so we haven't spent a lot of time there. But it's a tough one, and if it's something you're interested in, it's definitely a go first situation. Be in line early and go directly there. 20th Century Fox, they've kind of gotten a little bit lesser over the years. I mean, you'll find the, you know, poster tubes, sometimes mini posters. You know, in the old days, again, 3 years ago, you expected on the floor a lot of t-shirts, bags, and things that you actually would use throughout the year, and full-size posters even that you'd hang up on your wall. In recent years, it's become much more of, you know, an Oculus Rift experience, a photo opportunity, you know, mini posters, things like that, stickers. So, you know, you do want to do your homework. That first day, you know, Wednesday preview night is a good time to go around to these different booths and just ask the employees, so what are you guys doing in terms of giveaways this year? And then you can make a plan around it. And that's really going to be the first time that you can make a really good plan is preview night. And so I'd suggest that's one good way to spend preview night is just get comfortable with the floor plan, make your way to the various booths here that interest you, and ask some questions, you know, and see what's going to be of interest to you then when you come back Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. remember, if there's anything that you want on this floor, you do need to treat it like you're getting into Hall H or Ballroom 20. You need to line up early, go directly there, have a, you know, a friend, a spouse, or whatever to work with you to help you get into things. You know, we very commonly will, you know, split up, and one of us will come over to Lucasfilm and do Hallmark, and one of us will go over to, you know, IDW or whatever. And we kind of each day have our plan of one of us is going to go do ABC and one of us is going to go do D, E, and F. And that's our first half hour, is all that. And then we kind of compare notes. Again, with that football metaphor, just like kind of a closing hole for a running back, is you just slowly see, like, you can bounce all around at, you know, 9. Remember, the floor opens at 9, even though it says 9:30. They're very good about opening at 9. Not to say that they couldn't open later, but they're very good about trying to open at 9. So, you know, we're in line at 8 a.m. or 7 a.m. or 6. I mean, you know, depending on our goals. We make our way onto the floor in that first half hour. It's just kind of scatter. You know, Carmel and I are split up running around. And then 30, 45 minutes later, everything is maxed out and lines are capped, and it's basically, you know, by 9:30, 9:45, it pretty much looks like 1 o'clock. You know, it's just a crazy mess everywhere. And then we reconvene and we decide maybe we head up to panels, maybe we start doing the rows, and we go from there. But, you know, make sure you have a plan. Obviously, as we look over at this side of the floor, this is a lot of comic vendors, t-shirts, you know, the various toys and things like that. You've got Artist Alley, a lot of great areas to hit as gems throughout the day, but not necessarily anything you're going to do if you are camping out and going in that first morning. You know, we love to spend some good quality time in the comic area, in the toy area, in the Artist Alley. I mean, love Comic-Con's Artist Alley, but that's not anything we're going to mess with until probably after 10 a.m. in the morning. If you are getting on the floor at 9:30 a.m., you're very late and don't really expect to get anything that you just can't get throughout the day. And that's kind of the fun thing too, is throughout the day opportunities reopen, you know, so maybe all of the autographed tickets are gone from a place at that opening glut, but then all of a sudden you see on social media that they're opening it back up at 11:30 or something like that. So as always, keep an eye on social media. We'll be tweeting like mad throughout the floor as we find opportunities. We're always big on sharing them, so you can find them there. Feel free to share your ideas or things that you find on the floor with us, and we will retweet them and can kind of compare notes. So hopefully this helped a little bit. This is again a new video, so we'll see how the feedback is, see how many people watch it, see how many people think it's useful to kind of actually look at the map. But we thought instead of just talking kind of theoretically about the floor in general, we would get specific and actually point out some spots and talk a little bit about it. So hopefully that helps a little bit. Hopefully you enjoy it. We'll go ahead and wrap up here, and we'll see you in line at San Diego Comic-Con.